Welcome to the Punting is Winning podcast. Just two fans talking all things Hawkeyes. Here are your hosts, JD and Keith.
Welcome back, Hawkeye sports fans, to another episode of Punting is Winning, the All-Iowa podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Keith. He's JD. Welcome back. Getting closer and closer now that we're into August. Is that what they call it? The dog days of summer?
Yeah. Every day is one day closer to football season, and I'm getting excited. It's 26 days from today. August 30th can't get here fast enough. I don't want to wish my month away, but by the same token, I'm excited to see this thing get started.
Yeah, I am too. I think it'll. I think people will be pleasantly surprised.
I hope so.
Some people will never be surprised because they are never happy one way or the other. But that's what happens. It's not calling anybody out in particular or anything. I read the comments, just so you know. And I'm not offended by them.
That's good, though. People commenting, I would rather they did than not. That way we got something we can talk about. And if they want to come on later and defend themselves, bring it up. We'll figure out a way to get you on here.
Yeah, and I'm not offended by it, so it doesn't bother me one bit. So, well, let's do some housekeeping here. Let's do last week's question of the week.
Yeah.
Last week we asked what bowl game you thought Iowa would be in this year, and bonus points if you could name the opponent. And if you get them both right, then send us the lottery numbers as well, because we'd love to have those. A couple of people, looks like Kelvin said Oklahoma, but I don't know that he specifically said a bowl game. Did he? Maybe
I don't think he said a specific bowl game.
Dean said Las Vegas Bowl against a former Pac-12 team. I think he mentioned Washington State, I believe. Buck Wild says we'll be in the Nobody Loves You Bowl against some MAC team, and it'll be
somewhere in Detroit.
3-2 game over in Detroit. Yep.
3-2 game.
I tell you what, if you're right, then you better give me the lottery numbers, because
you're going to be there. So you're going to rush that field. You and Kelvin and then Dean are going to rush the field.
Yeah. Well, I need to know. I got to get my vacation time put in and get my money saved up for that bowl game there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
I'll watch on TV.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? What do you think?
Well, I think Iowa's going to finish 7-5, and they'll be very similar to like Music City Bowl or similar to that, and it'll be against like a Mississippi or it's hard to say, Texas A&M or something like that.
I'm going to go 8-4 ish. Probably is the most realistic. It'll probably be something like the Duke's Mayo Bowl, because it's something that they haven't been in. Possibly, depending on where they wind up in conference standings, they go 8-4. That means they're probably going more than likely 6-3 in conference, which put them top 8 in the conference. So they could possibly get them into Tampa. Or the Music City Bowl, something like that. But I'm going to go Duke's Mayo Bowl. They won't fall like to the Pinstripe Bowl or something like that, or Las Vegas Bowl, I don't think.
Duke's Mayo, we'll see. Is that an ACC affiliation, or is it who would the opponent be in that one?
I want to say, yeah, I think it is. That's the one that the boat rower won last year, so wasn't it?
Probably. I don't even remember who they played. I don't follow Minnesota.
Did they play Virginia Tech or something? Virginia.
I didn't need a used car, so I didn't watch.
Yeah, I didn't either. And it was late. It was, I think, one of the last bowl games too. So
yeah.
Congratulations
to Minnesota for winning your meaningless bowl game.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've won like 7 in a row, so give them credit for that. But pretty, I don't want to say pretty easy to win bowl games when you're not playing in the higher quality opponents where you're bumped up caliber. But if we're being truthful, they're probably playing teams that are lower than them anyway. Whereas a lot of times you'll see, because Iowa with the draw that they have and the fan support that they have will get bumped up in the pecking order a little bit sometimes and end up taking on, at 8-4, they'll take on a 10-2 or something. Makes it a little bit more of a daunting task.
Yeah.
So
we'll see what they have, what kind of season they have this year. I know.
I hope they have a 3-9 season. Honestly,
yeah, would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
we'll see.
But probably won't happen.
New quarterback.
I think their schedule's pretty soft.
Just hope they beat Nebraska.
Soft. Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, if Nebraska went 0-12, I'd be happy.
I'd take that.
So, all right. Speaking of 0-12s and not knowing how things are going to go, haven't really heard anything on the start of fall camp yet either.
How about the new question of the week?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah. Why don't you throw in that new question of the week?
Okay. We're going to use this as a question of the week. Where will Iowa rank this season in total offensive yards? Give you an example. Okay. Last year, Iowa finished 117th in the nation in total offensive yards. So give me where you think they'll finish in the season.
Yeah, very important that it's offensive yards per game, not total offensive yards.
All right.
In general, it's
offensive yards per game average.
Yeah,
and that's
I think it was like 328.8 or something like that was the yardage
last season.
I think they'll be higher than that this year.
Yeah, and that resulted in a 117th in the nation.
Yeah.
Let's hope that they're up around 60.
Yeah, I think even at 70th, they would be, it'd be a pretty good season.
I think if they're 70th or 60th, they'll be probably 8-4, 9-3 at that point.
Yeah.
That'd
I
be
think defense will be very salty this year.
That would be a very good offense for this. It would point to some really nice things coming up, I guess. It would really get you in the positive direction, get a little momentum going into 26. But we'll see how it turns out. It'll be interesting. Yeah. It'll be fun to see.
And not to paint it in a broad light, but I care less about the yards per game as opposed to points per game, because you can have less yards per game if you've got a great punter who pins them deep and you've got a great defense that keeps them on their side of the field. You've got shorter fields, so you're going to have less yards per game, and I'm fine with that. I would rather look at the points per game, where they would rank there, and I think they did rank in like the 70s in that and points per game last year. So improve on that about 15-20 spots, and I think you really have a very solid team. So,
well, purely from a standpoint of watching the game, I'd really like to see Iowa start throwing the ball down the field, picking up yards that way. Make it a little more dynamic, a little more watchable, a little more fun to watch, because you just don't know. Iowa's so predictable over the last 15 years that it just seems like you almost, as a fan, sitting there going, 3 yards off the left side on a handoff. And pretty much that's what's going to happen. Now, Caleb Johnson last year, he could take a 3-yard run and go 85. But you're not going to have that guy every year. You have Sean Green that did that back in, 08?
08.
Yeah, so you're not, he's kind of a rarity. You might see Akram Wadley, something like that may be able to break something like that, but it's not going to be an everyday thing. We've seen Kamari Bolton go down the field. I think he did it against Maryland last year on a 68-yard run or 65-yard run, just run right away from everybody. He was looking back at the 30, and there was nobody behind him. They just had given up at that point. So
he had a pretty good run against Missouri as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a possibility that they can do that. I just, it's just been so kind of predictable. I just want to see them break the monotony of everything that they seem to be doing. It's getting old, and all you got to do from a defensive standpoint is take 2 looks at an Iowa tape from the year before and you've got Iowa figured out. Well, we need to break those tendencies and we need to start figuring, different things out.
I think that is going to be a difference this year. I think you've got a different style of offense and you've got different players in there. I think it'll make a difference this year.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. A lot of unknowns.
Anyway, speaking of unknowns, the news out of Fort Kinnick is null and void. There's nothing there.
Mum's the word. Not much coming out. Pretty tight-lipped. I know there's going to be a media day this Friday in 4 days from now. And then the Kids Day Saturday on the 9th, as I said earlier. That might be our first opportunity to find out any information regarding how camp is going.
Yeah, the only thing that I have heard is the right tackle position has been Trevor Locke and Bryce George.
Really?
It out. That's
Jack Dotzler's not going to be involved?
I don't know if he's filling in somewhere else. Like I think he's been on the left side because I think Jennings Dunker's been limited. I don't know. There's something there that based on what I've heard is just that, and that's fine because Bryce George is a 5th year, 6th year senior, whatever he is.
Yeah.
You don't bring him in to sit him on the bench. You hope that he can contribute. So
I think there'll be a lot of people contributing.
Yeah, if he's fighting for a starting position, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
open competition. That's how you got to do it.
Yeah. Before we jump into our defensive depth chart, anything basketball-wise that you've heard? I know Bennett Stirtz has been invited to the Chris Paul NBA camp. So it's kind of quite a little honor for him. Don't know a whole lot about it. I just know that I think there's only like 20, maybe 24 that get to go to that. I'm not sure exactly how many there are. So to be invited is pretty good, pretty good company there.
The only thing I've heard is that they offered Ethan Harris. He's a power forward out of, I believe, state of Washington.
Yeah.
But I think he's gotten offers from Gonzaga and some of the teams out in the West Coast, Washington. I think even Boise State offered. So we'll see if he's impressed enough with Iowa to make the journey and spend his college years in the Midwest. We'll see.
Yeah, sounds like Cottrell Harmon is pretty much between Iowa and Creighton at this point, from all indications that I hear. So hopefully that's one that we can win as well.
Well,
giving them a recruit plus half of our team from last year.
I'm not going to dog on Coach McCaffrey, but if that was the situation where last year, if it was a kid that was looking at Iowa and Coach McCaffrey, or Creighton with Coach McDermott, I would say no chance that kid's coming to Iowa. But now that McCollum's here, and he surprised me on some things, and I wouldn't put it past anyone now. If it comes up against Iowa and Creighton, I think that's a 50-50 draw, or maybe even 60 for Iowa. So he's definitely improved the outlook on kids coming in, because I was just a lot of times I was just like, yeah, he's not coming. I don't even know who this person is, but if it's between Creighton and Iowa, he's not coming to Iowa. That's just kind of the cynic in me, I guess. But you get kicked in the stones enough times, you kind of go, yeah, it's just not going to happen. And but now I feel like it's kind of starting to move the direction. I think Iowa's starting to become kind of more of a trendier location now that we've got Ben McCollum in there as coach. I think he's enthusiastic enough and young enough, and I think his reputation is preceding him, and I think people are looking at that very seriously and saying this guy can really coach, and that's where I want to go.
And you talk about that reputation. I just read an article earlier, and I don't remember who it was that was ranking them, but they ranked the top 10 Big Ten basketball coaches going into this season. And they had Ben McCollum at 9.
9 out of 18?
And they had Darian DeVries at 7, I believe, which I thought was putting those two in the top 10 is kind of, you don't know what they're going to do in the Big Ten yet.
I was going to say, he hasn't even coached in the Big Ten.
mean, you're doing that ahead of guys who, the Fred Hoibergs, the Collins at Northwestern. Yeah, it's just like kind of surprised to see that. They had Eric Musselman was 10th on that list as well from USC. And just the usual suspects. Painter was actually number 1, Izzo 2.
Really?
Dusty May was 3. I want to say Mick Cronin might have been 4th.
Is he out of Maryland?
No, he's at UCLA.
Oh, he's the UCLA guy.
They had Maryland's coach, I believe, at 6th. At Buzz Williams at 6th. They had Greg Gard at 5th. Who else? Darian DeVries at 7. Who was at 8? I don't remember who was at 8. But McCollum was 9th, Musselman was 10th, and then guys that were on the outside were Nico Medved, Dana Altman, believe it or not. I thought that was pretty bold of him to put Dana Altman outside of the top 10. I would have definitely had him in the top 10 in the conference, I would think. Steve Peichel, I don't even know who's at Penn State anymore. And they had Diebler with Ohio State was in that bottom group. And then the coach at Washington.
Right.
So, yeah, it was just, I was kind of surprised at it. And I thought, it's one thing to rank on expectation, but it's hard to, I think it's hard to rank them in a top 10 without actually seeing what they can do in the conference. I mean, they've done it at a lower division. DeVries didn't light the world on fire at West Virginia, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, he had a solid season. They didn't make the tournament. Some would argue that they should have, but they didn't.
They put Carolina in above them.
Well, and that Carolina went on to prove they deserve to be in there.
They won their first game, which was the play-in game.
Yeah, they had a second game too, didn't they?
Oh, I don't think so.
Anyway, irrelevant at this point. I just think it's a little premature to put them in the top 10, but okay. Buzz Williams I get just because he's done it at the Power 4 level.
Mm-hmm.
And Maryland is one of those teams. And I guess maybe you do DeVries because it's Indiana. I don't know, but
and you've got unlimited budget.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, if McCollum finishes in the top 10 and coaches in the Big Ten this year, I'll be happy. That'll be a good spot. So,
well, we can cross our fingers and hope for it. We'll see. Yeah. I've got some pretty high expectations for what we've got coming in and the direction that the program is moving in. So, even if this year doesn't amount to what we think it should or what we would like to see, I still think it looks good for the years going forward.
Yep.
So.
All right. Shall we jump into our defensive depth chart?
Yep. Iowa football defensive depth chart.
Start out with defensive line. We'll go through the entire 4 up front. You don't have to specifically say left end, right end, but you can say end and tackles.
Life with dogs.
Yeah. I'll let you run first through your defensive line. Top 8 basically.
I've got Aaron Graves, Jeremiah Pittman, Jonah Pace, Max Llewellyn, Ethan Herkett. I think Brian Allen's going to play a lot. Kenneth Merriweather's going to play a lot. I think you're going to see Bryce Hawthorne in quite a bit too. He's just a high motor guy, getting a lot of accolades. The one guy that we saw at the spring scrimmage is the one guy that I thought would turn more heads, and he's not really been mentioned much in the depth charts. Is that Chima Chiniquwe? I think he's going to play some. I don't know how much, but I just wouldn't count him out at this point.
Yeah, I think they'll have a good 6-man rotation at defensive tackle. by middle of the year, guys that they trust. I have basically the same group of guys. My ends, I have Max Llewellyn, Ethan Herkett, Kenneth Merriweather, and Brian Allen. Tackles, Graves, Pittman, Pace, and Hawthorne. I do look for Yosei Epinesa to get in there as well, to be in that group on the ends that can, because you've also got to think depth. There's probably some of these guys might get injured. You've got to maybe go 3 deep on some of these spots just for injury's sake. And I want to say somebody just listed Iowa as having one of the top defensive lines in the country.
There's a lot of depth there.
I can see that.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited about that.
But yeah, I agree. Chimwe Chinikwe, I think we'll get some play in there as well. And he deserves so based off of what he did in the spring, I think.
Yeah. Very high motor guy. It just seemed like he was really shining through that day, and it'd be nice to see him get some love from the coaches on playing time.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people talk that coaches love Bryce Hawthorne.
Yeah,
he's a high motor guy. He's an Iowa guy. He's an Iowa type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see him definitely getting some early playing time this year, and by middle of the season, maybe one of those guys that's pushing Aaron Graves and the group to say, you know what, hey, I want to start.
You could do a situation where you could put like Aaron Graves, Brian Allen, Jonah Pace, Bryce Hawthorne in on like definite third down and long situations where all they're responsible basically for is rush to quarterback. Those would be 4 guys that are really very quick off the line and could potentially put pressure on quarterback and make him throw the ball sooner than he wants to, resulting in maybe an incomplete, or it could throw an interception. So
I wouldn't count Max Llewellyn out of that.
He'd be in there too at some point. But there's the guys that are more of a pass rusher type than the all around stops the run type.
I look more like for like the Graves, Pace, Pittman, Hawthorne line to be like, okay, if I got a 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line or something, those are the guys that they're going to step up the middle and then allows your linebackers to be more free and make plays, safeties, whatever. So that's where I would see them coming in. But, I think there's going to be a lot of people getting some time, and I think it's going to be probably 10 to 12 guys on that defensive line that will be contributors this year.
Yeah, right. Depending on situations and or personnel of the other team.
Or injuries as well.
Injuries, of course. Always with the injuries.
Right. Let's move to linebacker. I think the first game is going to be Jaden Harrell, Carson Shire, and Jackson Rexroth at the 3 linebacker positions. When you go to the cash, I think Cohen Entringer is going to be the cash. When he's not playing the cash, I think he will drop back to the strong safety?
Strong safety.
Yeah. So I think he'll stay in quite a bit, and Rexroth will come off, and then you'll have Entringer will jump into the cash position. You'll bring in another guy at the strong safety position, or maybe
Zach
have to
Lutner.
bring in another corner.
Like Zach Lutner would be like in on dime situations.
Yeah. I
roaming
think
around back there.
That's a good call there. Behind them, I say it's probably. I honestly think it's going to be Preston Reese in the middle. It's going to get the bulk, or he's going to get the best shot at that. Heard a lot of good things about Landon Van Kekerix.
Yep. Jaden Montgomery.
Yeah, Jaden Montgomery is kind of a wild card. I don't know a whole lot about him because I haven't seen him much. Jaden Harrell got in the UCLA game, and I know people were not overly impressed with that. I think you take that with a grain of salt. That's a kid that comes in cold, first time really seeing anything, and he's going up I'm not saying that UCLA's got a vaunted high-powered offense, but the defensive line wasn't doing anything that game, so that was not helping the linebackers. And I think you got to take that kind of with a grain of salt for him and just say he's going to get the first opportunity. I think, push comes to shove by the middle of the year, towards the end of the year, I think Preston Reese is going to be the starter. I think he's just that good. And that's not saying Cam Buffington and who's the
Derek
other one? Derek Weiskopf are not going to get in there as well. Wonder. Yeah, so I just think Preston Reese is probably the furthest ahead based on the middle linebacker position than the other three, and he's breaking records inside the walls of the
weight room
training facility of weightlifting, speed records, single 10-yard splits, cone records, all that stuff. So he's just a freak athlete from what I hear.
Nothing wrong with that. But no, I have to echo basically everything you said about the linebackers. I'm not going to throw in any names that you didn't already mention. Other than I think Derek Weiskopf will see some playing time that may surprise some people. I think he'll be in there more often than you think he will be. He's just too good of an athlete to keep off the field.
And I think all three of those guys will be on special teams.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I think Brevin Dahl will get his
we'll get to him later.
His feet wet, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to him a little bit.
All right, so let's move to the defensive backs.
Now, this is where I think Iowa has maybe the one Achilles heel. I think this is where Iowa, if there is a weak spot, this is it. And I got TJ Hall and Deshaun Lee at the starting spots with Jalen Watson and Shaheed Barros as the number twos on each side. I think they could interchange one left, one right. This is the part that scares me is the cornerbacks. I just think if there's going to be a weak spot in the defense, that's going to be that is noteworthy at this point. That's where I think it's going to be pointed to. I think the linebackers will be okay, but I'm nervous as I'll get out about the cornerbacks. And I think Deshaun Lee's got playing time. TJ Hall's had some playing time. But I think after that, you've got some very unknown at the backups.
I honestly,
completely
I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Moda get a chance in there. Alex Moda. And I've heard really good things about CJ Bell being very athletic and could push to get in there if he learns fast enough. I've also heard, with Tegan Davis back, not going to be on the corner side, but maybe as a safety, he might get a chance to get in there. So, I think there's some depth there, and that's throwing out the fact that we brought in Ty Hudkins from Purdue, who played quite a little bit at Purdue. Now, granted, it is Purdue, and he might have played out of necessity just because their defense was that bad.
Yeah.
But that's Big Ten experience.
Mm-hmm.
So can't count that out as well. So I think there's opportunities for some people to step in, and you're right, there is not a incumbent, so to speak, in any of those positions that should feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
With the exception of probably Xavier Wampa, just because I think putting him at the free safety probably frees him up, puts him more in his natural position, whereas he's been playing out of position.
I'd say Cohen and Tringer's probably okay too.
Yeah.
But we'll get to safety and free safety here. You want to go ahead and hit that, or do you want to go ahead and hit your cornerbacks? Or have you already?
I have the same.
Yeah, same thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you got for strong safety then?
Strong safety. That's I think it's going to be Cale Kolarek or Cohen Entringer, but Entringer will be the one that plays that when he's not playing the cash. When he goes to the cash, I think then Kolarek will come in and play the strong safety. Xavier Wampa will be the free safety. Behind him is probably maybe Zach Lutmer. Zach Lutmer could be the interchangeable guy that can play either one.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got Cohen Entringer at strong safety when he doesn't play cash, and then I've got Zach Lutmer behind him. I've got free safety Xavier Wampa and Cale Kolarek behind him. Yeah. Those are the two. I'm not sure that there will be a lot of others play in that position. I think that is a solid. I think that's a solid. You're going to keep those two guys in for the majority.
Yeah.
Maybe in mop-up duty or something if we're way ahead or way behind. They may bring in some other younger guys than even the two that we've mentioned that are backups. You might get some guys in just for playing experience.
Yeah, but you need to have the depth because, guys are going to need to take a breather here and there too.
Sure.
There's not always going to be the 3 and outs. You're going to have some 10, 12 play drives that guys are going to need to come out and take a breather, especially coverage guys.
Yeah, they're always running.
You get a team like I know we don't play Northwestern or Purdue or anything like that, but teams that like to dink and dunk down the field, that really wears on that back end a little bit more. So you kind of have to have more depth in those games just to give guys a breather.
Yeah,
and that's probably what Iowa State will end up doing this year. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they've got as far as deep threat. I think they'll be more of a dink and dunk type of offense, at least early in the year, until they maybe establish some, because they're replacing outstanding wide receivers.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their depth behind that was.
So for special teams, we want to move into special teams. I've got Drew Stevens at kicker and Caden Burr as the number 2. He's a he's a full-time freshman. True freshman, yeah.
Is he out of Bettendorf?
Yeah, Bettendorf. And we saw him in spring game. He was impressive. I thought he really kicked the ball well. Very happy with him. I think next year we're in good hands. Kicker.
Very, very accurate.
Yep.
And he was good out to about 50.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, I think he was pushing him.
Yeah. As you go through your progression of your junior year, your sophomore, junior year, and senior year, as you get through the Iowa weight program, he will get stronger and stronger. He will be out there pushing 58, 59. If he's good from 50 as a freshman, he'll be good from 58 or 59 as a senior, I would think.
Yeah, there was one kicker that really didn't, I want to say it was Keith Duncan, but I don't think it was Keith Duncan. That was never really a guy that you would throw out there and say, okay, 50 yards, I trust him. They'd always bring in Racinos.
Yeah.
Who was the guy? Was it Keith Duncan?
It could have been.
Just never had as strong a leg as certainly not as strong a leg as Drew Stevens has.
But from 45 and in, he was money.
Yeah. I think outside of maybe, I'm having a hard time with names today. Kid that kicked the 55 or 56 yard walk off against Pitt.
Oh, jeez. That was in 2011, wasn't it?
15.
Oh.
2015. Marshall Kane. Outside of Marshall Kane, I don't know that we've had a kicker with as strong a leg as Drew Stevens.
I agree.
Those two probably could match each other from distance. Now, I think Stevens might be a little more accurate than Marshall Kane was, but not by a lot. Right. You're getting outside of 55 yards. If you can hit 65% of those, you're an NFL pro.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and punter wise, I think you're going to have, I don't know. That's a weak position for us this year. Reese Dakin, and who cares after that? Because I don't think you're going to see anybody beyond him.
Right. Only in an emergency.
Yeah. I don't remember who the backup is. It's
Ty Nissen.
Ty Nissen. Yep.
Yeah. And you got, we're going to go with kick returner, Kaden Wetjen. I think you're going to have him flanked by Brevin Dahl or TJ Washington. I think either one of those two may end up returning side by side with each other. If they're not kicking to Kaden Wetjen, it'll be Brevin or TJ. That's in my opinion.
Yeah. And then obviously he'll be punt returning.
He will be punt returning also. Yeah.
Now, if you have to have a backup to that, I would not be a bit surprised to see a guy like a Cohen Entringer.
Yeah. Got good speed.
Yeah.
But I saw an interview with Kaden Wetjen, and it was on like TikTok Short or something. And he was asked who the fastest player on the team was, and guess what he said?
Brevin Dahl.
Brevin Dahl. And he says he is the fastest guy on the team. He said he ran a 10.400 in high school. He says, that's flying. That's flying.
Yeah.
So now Brevin Dahl being the fastest player on the team, kid out of Adel right up the street from me. Perfect. Get him in there. As long as he doesn't just run right up to the first guy that he sees and gets tackled, we're good.
Yeah, we'll call him the Corn Belt Comet Part 2.
There you go. Niall Kinnick's brother to be.
Yeah. I would be fine with that.
I'd be fine with that, definitely.
Yeah.
The one
I don't even want to worry about long snappers because
I was going to say
the kid from Boston College.
Yeah,
Ike Speltz from Boston College. You don't bring him in. You don't bring a long snapper in and not basically have him there to start. And this guy's got experience.
I think he's a senior, so he's got a 1 year left. I mean,
so I think he's pretty much it.
You don't go out and get a kid out of the transfer portal and don't go, oh, where were you again? What were you doing? You do your homework on him and make sure that you know what you're getting.
Yeah, and the thing about it is a lot of times you look at the long snappers aren't the biggest guys. They're 6'2", 6'3", 245, something in there. They're about a linebacker size, maybe a little bit bigger. This kid out of BC is he's a bigger kid. I want to say he was up like 255, 260, which is pretty big for a long snapper, in my opinion. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that. As long as he does the job, I actually prefer to have somebody that, yes, they protect the long snapper a lot more now than they ever used to, but he's still going to have to block at some point. And if he can fly down the field, they're usually the guys down the field making the tackle on a punt return.
Yep.
So. I think that you don't bring a transfer long snapper in and not play him. So
right. Yeah, 100%. I don't know. That seems like about the defense. I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what the defensive line. I think that's the solidest group on the whole defense. That and
I agree.
Safeties are pretty good. I think Cohen Entringer and Xavier Wampa. I think Xavier would like to have a breakout season. I don't think he had the season he really wanted to have last year. I think he was a little bit. I don't know if he felt like he was maybe out of position a little bit instead of being a strong safety, because I think he played a lot of that last year. I think this year he's going to move over and do free safety where he can kind of roam a little bit. And I think that maybe fits him a little bit better. It's more suited to his skill set. So you might see a little bit more out of him as far as like pass breakups, maybe a pick off or two that he didn't get last year. I think you're going to see a little bit more out of him. What I don't think you'll see is some of those bone jarring hits that he had early in the season when he would run up and pop somebody, unless they're on a blitz of some kind. And I kind of see that more as a strong safety type of situation where you'll rush the line on obvious running plays or when you perceive that it's a run early.
Yeah, but, and I think I look at it more like he's going to be the Quinn Schulte with more athleticism. Oh. And that's not taking anything away from Quinn Schulte by any means.
Right.
But it's a more athletic version of that. And Iowa has had some really good free safeties.
Sure.
And that is usually the spot if you're going to be a non-corner, that's the guy that's going to get a lot of the picks.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
I hope so.
Hoping for good things out of Xavier Wampet, and of course Cohen. We know about what he can do, and so I'm not concerned about the defensive line and basically the safeties. It's those corners. But like I mentioned, it just makes me a little bit nervous that they're going to get picked on profusely.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't do what especially if they get burned a couple of times. People are going to see that on tape and say, well, if they got burned once, they'll get burned twice, and they'll just keep continuing to pick on them over there until either Kirk puts in somebody else or they figure out a way to double. They pull a safety in or.
I want to preface our two deeps by saying typically every year somebody comes out of nowhere that we've not even thought of.
Right.
Gets playing time that you think, oh, wow, that just came out of nowhere. And maybe they take the bull by the horns and seize the moment and, use all my cliches in one there. But just put a stranglehold on a position that you don't expect. It's like, wow, okay, great. I think Jay Higgins was that way. Nobody really expected Jay Higgins to be as good as he was.
Right.
And then he just blew everybody's minds.
Right.
And, I think we're probably going to see somebody that's something like that happens again this year. And it's going to be somebody we probably even haven't even mentioned.
Yeah.
So, which, if that's the case, that's good. I'm fine with that. Best guys out there. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't see the future. So we're going to have to go with what we know now and then adjust for whatever happens.
Yep. So, all right. I say we wrap it up on that and make sure that you like the video. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Thanks to the 7 new subscribers we've gotten in the last couple of weeks. Appreciate the support. People finding it for the first time, enjoying it. I'm hoping you're enjoying it. We're glad you're here. Leave us some comments, things you want to hear more of, things that maybe we're way off base on. I don't know. Like I said, I don't take anything personally. I can take criticism and run with it. So, other than that, well, I may complain a little bit, but that's behind closed doors. Other than that, social media, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, all that stuff, Spotify, check out the merch store if you want to help support the Iowa Flight Fund. I will donate the proceeds that we get for that to the Iowa Flight Fund to help bring in more athletes, bring in transfers, help pay NIL and revenue sharing deals with guys, whatever they need to use it for. Other than that, I think we'll wrap it up. Give us a good go Hawks and get out of here.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.